Hello and welcome everyone to another IGA Inventor Groups of America meeting. I've got a great one for you today. My name is Andrew Krause. I'm one of the co-founders here at Inventor Groups of America. I'm just going to double check I'm recording this. Yes, I am. Great.
Sure.
Um, Type your name into the chat if you're new. Say I'm new so we can welcome you. Also, for everyone else, we would love to hear your name and what state or country you're from. We always have a lot of people in different countries and different states. So type that into the chat as well if you can. Buttons down at the bottom. You might have to click on more if you're on a small screen to see the chat and open that up. So IGA was co-founded by Stephen Key and myself. Stephen, raise your hand. There he is, right there, man himself. To teach individuals how to best commercialize their product ideas, as well as strengthen and support inventor groups throughout the nation. As many of you know, Stephen Key and myself also run InventRight, where we coach and mentor inventors to license their products. Does anybody know us through InventRight? Raise your hand, wave your hand if you're on camera. Know us through InventRight? Okay, great. Oh, a whole bunch of you. All right. Um, Everything we do here at IGA is free. Inventor Groups of America. Yes, I said free. Isn't that cool? IGA also has a directory of local and regional inventor groups on our website. If you're located near one, we highly recommend you to join. Please do not disclose anything that is confidential or that is not already publicly available. This meeting is going to be recorded and will be harnessed on our Inventor Groups of America website and our YouTube channel soon. If you have any questions for us, please type them in the chat as they come to you, and we'll answer some of them at the end, maybe some during even. So our other co-founder, Stephen Key, is now going to introduce our very special speakers we have for you today.
Thank you, Andrew. And I want to welcome everybody to IGA. We hold these webinars about once a month. And so thank you for attending. Before I make these introductions to these amazing people that we have today, I want to talk a little bit about this whole process of reaching out to companies. Looking back years ago, I was mailing companies because that was the only way to get the companies. And I would send a sample, maybe a photograph of my prototype, very nice letter, and hopefully they would get back to me. And sure enough, they did. They always got back to me. And at the time, I thought this was the slowest process ever. Well, let's fast forward. Today, we have the internet. Wow. Email, text messaging. We can get to just about anybody today, and we can get to people pretty darn quickly. But is it any easier? I don't think so. I think it's harder. Now, why is it harder? Well, I thought about this, and I realized when LinkedIn first started, it was pretty easy. There weren't that many people on LinkedIn, and you weren't getting pitched every single day, all of us. So it was pretty easy to navigate LinkedIn, pretty easy. And I actually wrote a book with Benjamin on how to license your ideas using LinkedIn. And it was fairly easy. And we were teaching classes at InventRight and even here at IGA and even on our YouTube channel, InventRight TV, on how to reach out to companies. But what I've noticed, and I think you have probably have noticed the same thing, you're getting a lot of emails every morning. You're getting a lot of people on, if you're on social media, you're just getting a lot of noise. And it's harder to get the people to pay attention to you. So you have to stand out. And that's what we're going to talk about today. How do you stand out so a company does pay attention to you and they will look at what you're trying to show them? It was interesting that the co-founder of Netflix said one day that I get 1,000 emails. You think you're going to stand out in an email? Impossible. So he started giving some tips of how to reach him. So this problem of getting a hold of companies to pitch your ideas to has been something that Andrew and I have been very passionate about for over 25 years to teach you how to do it. And everything's changing quite rapidly. And I'm glad we're talking about this today because it has changed. And what maybe worked a year ago or even a month ago might not be working today. So that's why we're having this talk with two individuals that are very, very good at this. In fact, they're professionals at getting a hold of companies. And I'm going to ask them some questions and they're just going to explain how they're doing it because they're not just doing it every once in a while. They do it every single day, day in and day out. It's the worst thing. I don't like to reach out to companies. In fact, if I have an idea, I give it to one of these guys that go do it for me. And I've been doing it forever and I still don't like it because it's frustrating. And what we want to do today is to help you get through some of that frustration, to basically tell you you're probably doing okay, you don't know it, but you think you're getting ghosted and you're not quite sure if you're doing something wrong, but we're going to talk about that. So I want to introduce Dana Knowles. Dana, raise your hand.
Hey,
Wonderful.
everybody.
Hey, Dana. And we have Chad Brislon. Raise your hand, Chad.
Hey everybody, thanks for having us on.
Yeah, what's happened at InventRight, just to give you an idea why they're calling companies every single day, is that we have a new program called Gateway where they have a job. And I told them at the very beginning, this is the worst job in the world, trying to scare them, trying to get them to say they don't want to do it. But they said, they said they still wanted to do it. I was so surprised. In fact, Chad said to me, I said, Chad, I want you to climb a mountain. He says, I'll climb it. And he said, I'll climb not only the mountain you want me to climb, I'll climb the mountain next to it too. And that's the type of attitude you need to have sometimes. And Dana Knowles, I've known for, I don't know, probably 15, 20 years for all I know now. It's been such a long time. And Dana has helped me with my projects personally over the years get into companies that I'm just dumbfounded by it. She's found a way to get in. So they are very, very good at what they do. And they're going to share with you now some of the tips and strategies of how to get the company. So I want to welcome them both. Please take good notes. I think you're going to really enjoy this webinar. It will be recorded, right, Andrew?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so Dana, let's start with you for just a minute. How do you do it? How do you call companies all day long without pulling out your hair?
I was thinking about that when you were talking, and I kind of, and Chad and I share this all the time. Um, it's almost like this is not good or not bad, but it's almost like a drug. Like, I'm kind of addicted to getting that. Yeah, we want to see the product. It's that feeling to me is worth all the other stuff that I have to go through, all the rejection, all the nobody, all the voicemails, all the people not responding. But when you get that one person in that one company that, like you always said, becomes your cheerleader, like, yeah, send me over what you got, and you start having this conversation with them. I have to say that I was an InventRight member in 2017, and I was scared to death to pick up the phone and call somebody. Scared to death. I found every other thing to do in the world but pick up the phone. And thank goodness that I did have a great coach that would push me to just, and he would say, just make one phone call a day. And it broke it down and then had a little baby steps. And I just got used to it. And it's just like anything else. The more I did it, the better I got. The more I did it, the easier it was. The more I did it, the more success I had. And now, I mean, it's nothing for me to pick up the phone and call a CEO of a massively huge company. I have some tricks though. I have something I did, and I do want to share it. I did something last week that I've never done before, and I do want to share that.
All right.
So I don't know if I want to share it now or later or whenever.
We'll get to that in just a minute because I know
Don't
you
let
have
me
a lot of
forget.
tricks.
Don't let me forget.
Okay, so it takes a little bit of time. You're doing it every single day, so you're getting very good at it. Chad, let's go to you real quick. Uh, you've actually recorded some of your calls. I know Dana has too. And when you listen to them, you realize it's not easy. It's not a straight path to get to somebody, is it?
No, it's really not, and that's I would like to mention, I'm glad we're not living in a time where we have to reach out by snail mail. I can imagine when you had to do that. We've moved up a little bit since then. We started sending out telegrams, so that's a little more efficient. But no, realistically, it does. It's a process, is for sure. Sorry, could you repeat your question? I was stuck on my joke, Stephen.
That's okay. Um, I've listened to this recording that you
Oh,
and Dana have done, and when you listen to it, you realize you're not really getting to the right people at first. And
right.
so, what do you do, and how do you navigate to get to the right person?
And that's what I was going to touch on. So being fluid really is a huge part of it. I know we use scripts and we promote scripts a lot, and those are great. Those are great formats to get started. But you know, even as me and Dana have progressed, like we've talked about, we looked back at some of our scripts from when we were reaching out a couple years ago, when I was reaching out and we were reaching out for our own products, and we're like, how did we get into some of these companies, you know, with the scripts that we had at the time? And then even working for Gateway, you know, looking back 6 months, my scripts have improved on that. And that touches on what Dana was saying about the more you do it, the easier that it gets. But I think being fluid with it is key. I mean, even when you're on the phone, just being able to and I get it. That's the biggest part is getting over that anxiety, but being able to calm down and kind of roll with it and just understanding that these are also just people on the other end of the phone, you know? So for example, like just there, I had forgotten your question. And this morning, here's a great example. So this morning I had a list of companies and I was calling. Well, I called the number, but I called the number right below the one that I had intended to call. So I called this company and I'm calling them the wrong company. I'm like, I'm just calling to see if blank company is open to reviewing ideas. And the guy's like, well, how would I know? We're not them, you know? And he says, well, as it turns out, he said, we manufacture this type of product for that company. So I had gotten to the manufacturer unintentionally, and I said, well, that works out great. I said, my client is looking for a manufacturer to license the product concept, and then that switched the whole game, and I was able to get into him. But the point is that even when making a mistake, I mean, you can roll out of it, you know, and these people on the other end, they realize that you're also just a person. So, and hopefully that takes some of the anxiety out of it because that's really where we mess up is you got 60, 70 people on a Zoom meeting and you get nervous and you lose track, but you can pick it back up, you know.
Okay. So, let's talk about the script for just a minute, because I know you've gotten very good at the scripts. But wait a minute, before we talk about the scripts, wait a minute. Traditionally, we've been teaching everyone to go to LinkedIn, and you could maybe do some research, find the right company that might want your idea. You look on the internet, you find them, you go to LinkedIn, you find the company, you maybe make some connections. Maybe someone in sales, maybe someone in new product development, maybe someone in marketing. But you guys don't use that as much today of contacting them on, you might, but what else do you do besides LinkedIn? Because you know you don't have time to wait for them to get back to you, do you? So what do you do,
So
Dana?
I've kind of developed my own protocol for it's almost like an order of operations that I use pretty much every time. And I get it that everyone has the biggest anxiety about picking up the phone and calling, but I always call first. That's always my first go-to. I call. This is a very rare one-off, but there was one point where I had gotten in to a company. They were open to reviewing ideas, and I was able to get in a minute and 46 seconds, and that includes ring time. I mean, when are you going to get a response back like that from email? And but the thing about it is you have to use all of them together. I'm not just calling. So sometimes when I make a phone call, I'm not even sure who I'm asking for yet. As it's ringing, I'll pull up LinkedIn, type in the company name. You click on people, you'll see someone in marketing, someone in product development. So before that customer service person even answers, I got someone to ask for, you know, and that touches on one of the things that you brought up, ways to get around gatekeepers. If you already know who to ask for, 9 times out of 10, that gives you an out because a lot of times, especially with bigger companies, they don't even know where to send you.
Okay. Dana, cold calling. I hate that sounds terrible.
No,
Cold calling. Is it a warm
Can
call,
I, can
cold
I send
calling?
this? Dana,
no.
Dana, I haven't even told you this yet. We're going to change it from cold calling to cool calling because we do it so much cooler
Wait,
than anybody
wait.
does.
Cool calling.
We do it so much cooler.
Okay.
No, I cringed actually when I saw the IGA like thing and it said cold calling, and I'm like, "Mm, I should have told her not to show Madeline." It's called relationship calling.
Oh,
because that's what we're doing. We're creating relationships.
okay.
So when I think about it as relationship calling, it's not so like cold calling is so it's antiquated, it's old, but I'm really just trying to make a relationship with that person.
Okay. Dana, I've listened to your recorded calling
Mm-hmm.
and I realized that your pitch was really pretty tight
Mm-hmm.
because most likely when you call, you navigate, you have a name. Like Chad said, you got the name from LinkedIn. You go back around, you use the name, you get in, but no one picks up the phone. So how do you get them to pick up the phone to call you back?
Well, I this is how I do it. Same as Chad. I'm going on LinkedIn. I'm finding the name of the people that I want to reach out to, calling the company, and the gatekeeper does it when you act like you're supposed to be calling them. Like I don't say, "Is Mary Smith available, please?" I just say, "Can you connect me with Mary Smith, please?" Like it's more of a demand nicely than an ask.
Okay.
And sometimes I just say, "Yeah, okay," and boom. And so if I get a voicemail, I'm going to leave a voicemail. I always say I'm going to, and I say this all the time. I'm going to tell them who I am. My name is Dana Knowles. Then I'm going to leave my phone number. Then I'm going to, and for anybody who doesn't do this all the time, have a script ready that's no longer than 30 seconds.
Okay.
Read it from the script, but act like you're not reading it, of course. And then in the end, leave your name again and your telephone number. So then if they didn't get it in the beginning, they'll get it in the end. And if they didn't get it anytime and they want to get your name and number, they don't have to listen to the whole message again just to get your name and number. And then I will go into LinkedIn and I will connect and send them a note. Now, I have a paid premium subscription to LinkedIn, membership to LinkedIn. I've had that since almost day one of signing up as an InventRight member because I wanted to invest in my career as a product developer. And I knew I had to invest that little bit of money so that I could get to the people that I wanted to get to. And then I will leave them a note. Hi, Mary. I just left you a voicemail and a very brief description of what the voicemail was. Does it work 100% of the time? No, it doesn't work 100% of the time. That's why in any given company, I might have to reach out to 20 people. But I'll tell you what, you reach out to enough, you throw enough stuff on the wall, it's going to stick. I've done that and gotten into some massively huge companies by just leaving that same voicemail for different people and then going to LinkedIn and leaving,
So,
if they're on LinkedIn,
so,
of course, leaving
so
their,
it's okay to reach out to multiple people when you're calling in.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And I'll give you an example. I was just reaching out to a company and I reached out to big company, huge company. And I reached out to about 25 people, sent them LinkedIn messages. I called some of them because sometimes the dial by name is wonky. It doesn't work right. Like it doesn't recognize the name or who it is. And I got a message back this happened just yesterday in the same day. One person came back and said, "No, we're not open." And the next person came back and said, "Yeah, here's my email. Send me over what you have."
Okay.
It happens all the time, all the time.
So
That's
maybe
why
the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing
yeah,
sometimes.
that's when you're dealing with a bigger company. So that's why it's important to reach out to so many people because this person might say, "No, we're not working with any outside, designers." And this one says, "Yeah, sure, send it over to me. I'll show it to my product development team."
Dana and Chad, if only 1 in 5 people, or let's say 1 in 8 people you left a voicemail for, got back to you, would you be really happy with that?
I'd be shocked if only 1 in 8.
Yeah, it's that. See that, but do people have a really hard time getting over that? They're like, I left a voicemail, but they didn't get back to me. Can you talk a little bit about the numbers game and how you
Well,
need to play that?
that'll definitely, and especially early on, that can deter you. Like, I reached out to them, they didn't get back to me. Are they thinking, no, no, they're not open to products? You don't want to feel that pressure of like bugging them, but really consistency is key. Following up is key. There's so many things that could be happening. I've gotten where they've on vacation or they're at a trade show or they accidentally deleted your email or it went to spam. I mean, there could be any number of reasons that they missed it. I mean, you're asking to put something extra on their plate. I mean, not only would they be taking on a new product from you, but they already have a full plate of their current work, their current products, their current things that they're doing. So it's easy to slip through the cracks. And as long as you're respectful and you do it within like a respectful time frame, I don't see why you shouldn't be reaching out or following up. I wouldn't I wouldn't obviously call them and leave them a message every day, respect their time.
Hey, Chad, we've noticed that there's certain categories you really kind of like that you kind of know.
Mhm.
And we know that they're tools, things like that. Because you're pretty good with tools. You have a background working with your hands. You've been in the trades a little bit. Does that help you when you're talking to people because you really kind of know what you're talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say knowing your product and knowing your product category that you're reaching out for are key. And and if you're reaching out for your own products like you guys are doing, I mean that should be, obviously you would have some sort of background in that. But even for us reaching out for clients' products, just do a little homework, do some background. I mean, if a question sticks out to you, go find out the answer before you're reaching out about those things. But yeah, having background and the product definitely helps. The lingo a little better. You might be able to anticipate some of their concerns before even calling. But I wouldn't let that, deter you if you're say you're an accountant and you're developing a pet product. That shouldn't deter you because you don't have a background in that. That just might require a little more homework. But the more knowledgeable you are, the better.
Hey, Dana, I want to get back to what seems to be the things they want to hear. Right. We talked a lot about that when we take on projects at Gateway, right? They want to know about the intellectual property status, right? It could be patent pending, it could be a patent or design patent, but they want to know what that is fairly quickly. They want to know that maybe you have a prototype, maybe the point of difference. What are some of the other things? Because I know a one-line benefit is really strong. I'll get to that in a minute, but we did an interview recently on InventRight TV about the three things you really need, right? And it's all about knowing your IP status. It's all about maybe building that relationship, going slow, getting to the right person. But it's all about really knowing maybe their product line too, and it's a good fit. Is there anything else that gives you the confidence when you're reaching out to the company that it is a good fit for them? It is the right fit for them.
Well, I will usually, like Chad said, do every company I reach out to for every client, I understand that company very well. I'm going in, I'm reading their about section, I'm looking at their product line. I might even say this might be a good fit for your, if they have a bunch of brands, this might be a good fit for this brand here because maybe
Okay.
they're in kitchen, but they do all kinds of things, but they have a certain brand that is a certain specific category. It
Okay.
just shows that I've done my homework and it makes me look a little bit more professional. I also I have been asked on more than one occasion, is this being sold?
Oh,
And sometimes companies they want to know who's seen this. Where is it at? Are we going to be the first ones? Because companies want to be the first ones to introduce that at the trade shows. They want to
okay.
be the first. And so that's some questions that I've got. IP, most companies, this it is a big question, but it's not like companies really like when our, and I don't think that this is a necessity, but they really like issued patents. they That kind of perks their ears up a little bit. But that's not a, if you're listening to this, don't think you got to run out and get an issued patent to pitch your idea, because 99% of companies will be perfectly fine with some kind of IP, like a provisional patent application filed.
Okay.
Those are kind of the other, the ones they definitely want to, videos of a working prototype, not to show in the main benefit. You're saying what your main benefit is, but then in the video show that main benefit. How does it do what you're saying is the main benefit? A
Okay.
really good demo video is super important.
So who do you want on the phone? Do you prefer someone in sales, marketing, new product development, or the CEO? Who do you really want?
I want the CEO.
Anybody, I'll take anybody.
I'll take anybody. Yeah, I don't specifically really like talking to customer service unless it's a smaller company where they might be a huge company with great distribution and a great brand and only, 4 or 5 people actually work in the office. That I don't mind then talking to customer service because the boss is sitting right over there, or the product development person's over there. But in bigger companies, they just have people answering the phones. And so whenever they say to me, oh, send an email over to sales at, and I'll say to them, right, I'm like, yeah, no, I don't know where that goes,
Okay.
and I
So,
don't like doing that.
so Dana, why are CEOs and presidents of companies responding now when they didn't in the past?
I think, and you taught me this, you when we're on these groups and you give your, in the InventRight group, and you give your cell phone number out to our members and whoever you give it out to. I know you guys give it out freely because you say nobody ever hardly ever calls. And so that's how I look at other CEOs of companies, you know. And I have a great, and I do have to tell you the story about what I did as the CEO of a company. I just did it last week. It's awesome. But I have, well, we'll save that because we'll wait till the end to tell that one, keep people in the meeting. But I just think that, it's that comfortability that I have. I don't know if that's a word, that I have with talking to people in upper management, because I've realized after you talk to so many people, you realize they are just people just like you and me. They're getting up every day and they're doing a job. That's all they are.
And Dana, would you agree that sometimes the CEOs and the bigger ones are almost easier to talk to about new product submissions? And the reason I think that is because they're at the top. They're not putting anything on the line. Maybe somebody in, the director of engineering or something like that. Maybe there's some reservations on his part about kicking an idea up to the boss or all of that. I mean, a CEO or a COO, they're like, yeah, send it right over. They have the capacity to make that decision on the spot, as someone else would have to pass that up the line, get a decision. You don't know the working politics of that company. That could be a big ask. You know what I mean? You don't know. So I think getting in with those top dogs is usually the most effective and efficient.
I've seen that in the world of being transparent, in the world of building trust, in the world of knowing your customer, those doors seem to be more open today than they have ever been, and you can't get to them. So, Dana, we had a project came in that the gentleman, I think, drives an oil truck in Montana, and he noticed the problem his wife was having. And his wife asked, why isn't there a product that does this? And he came up with this simple idea, um, a woman's idea.
Yeah.
Um, and you reached out to a really big company, probably one of the biggest, and they saw it, but they wanted it. The one line benefit was so strong, they wanted it regardless of even seeing it, didn't they?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, think about that, everyone. The one line benefit was so strong about the benefit of that product, they didn't even need to see the product.
It's four
Sure.
words, four
Yeah.
words that I put in the email. And I don't even know if it was his one line benefit statement on his sell sheet. I don't even know because um, yeah. And I just, I think the biggest thing is that I'm guilty of it. We overthink everything so much. We need to keep everything really simple. Like in the email, it was just so simple that they immediately got back to me and said, yeah, we want to see this, and here's what we have planned, and we need to see this right away. And so that was back when we weren't sending the sell sheets and the client was sending the sell sheets. We're doing that a little different now, but I made an executive decision to send the sell sheet on my own. Do it and then beg for forgiveness later, right?
It, I guess the power of really knowing the benefit
Yeah,
and
yeah.
knowing how to put that benefit in that one line that you could put on the subject line of an email or
Mhm.
on your video or sell sheet can really impact someone saying, hey, I want to see this. And I've never seen it this fast before.
Mhm.
But the next week, they're on calls. I was on those calls with the companies, and the next thing you know, that thing just went boom. It was that fast. I don't think I've ever seen one that fast. But that one line benefit statement, if you're struggling with that, you need to get some help with that, you guys, because it's critical, right?
Mhm.
We've seen it over and over again. And that also comes back to when you're leaving that pitch, because leaving a voicemail, in fact, Andrew and I used to talk about never leave a voicemail. They'll never call you back. Just keep on calling. But I think what Dana and Chad has noticed that with the right pitch and the right benefit, that you're telling the company why they need to call you back because of this product's great for your product line and because it does this, they call you back. Okay, so things have changed a little bit, and that's why it's important at InventRight for us to really give you the most current information that's happening today. Right, not last week, not a month ago. I mean, what's really happening today? And that's one thing you're going to find that we're going to keep on providing through our YouTube videos or articles, LinkedIn, of what's really happening today. And that's why we have Dana Knowles and Chad Brislon on.
But and I want to get back to the numbers game because we were talking about that a minute ago. You're not going to be leaving 3 voicemails and getting any sort of response. You're going to be leaving 30, 50, 100, 200. It only takes a minute to speak a voicemail, guys. It's not hard. And it shouldn't even really be that scary. You don't even need to talk to them, when you're leaving the voicemail.
Unless they pick up the phone, then you got to talk
Yeah,
to them.
well, which is all good. That's all good.
And then on the times where they do respond quick, you'll be pleasantly surprised. What is that? Hope for the best, plan for the worst kind of thing. Sometimes they'll get right back to you. And those, like Dana touched on earlier, I mean, that really is kind of a rush. It really motivates you to keep going. I've been doing this for a few years now, even with my own products, and no's are still exciting to me. It just reaffirms that the process works and that, you have to have all those things lined up.
Well, I'll tell you what happened with this bigger company that I was saying. The one woman said no and the other woman said yes. Well, the other woman that said yes, I knew her from 2020 when she worked for another company and I was pitching my shower caddy. And now and we had a conversation back then. I hadn't talked to her for 4 years. And now she's working for this other company that I wanted to get into. So I reconnected with her and she's the one who said, yeah, send it over. So, that's about relationships. It's all about relationships, following someone on LinkedIn, responding to I follow everybody on LinkedIn because I want to see when they say something on LinkedIn, I want to go in there and I want to respond. And I always say, it's not like oh, great job, congratulations. I will read their posts and then I will put my own twist on the comment that has weight and depth to it. Can I tell that story? The story, I got to tell the story. It's so great. It's so great.
Wait, let's get to some of these questions real quick because these are questions I hear a million times. Mm-hmm. And I don't think we can actually answer this enough. And Bev, I'm really happy to see you there. Bev's asking, how long should you wait before you follow up? Because I don't want to be a pest, but I want to be a professional too. Chad?
So, I had this actually down as something to touch on. So a lot of that goes into being fluid. I would feel that out. A lot of that you can feel it. We have a standard kind of 2 weeks. 2 weeks we put that in as just a standard. But you might get some feedback that they're at a trade show. So if you can assume they're at a trade show, maybe they'll take another week past that to get back. So realistically, all of that varies. And then, I would switch it up. If you send a LinkedIn message, maybe the following week you leave a voicemail and all of that. But I think what all of it boils down to is consistency. Consistency with reaching out and following up. I mean, you're going to get better responses. You're going to get better. You're going to refine your pitches the more you do it. So I think the time frame isn't so much important as long as you're being respectful of their time, but making sure that you do those follow-ups. Those are critical. And I want to touch on, somebody said, a couple people have said since I started at InventRight that they said the reason that I do so well is because I don't take no for an answer. And I was kind of thinking about that, and it's not exactly accurate. So I have no problem taking no for an answer, but the thing about that is I'm going to need to hear you say it. I'm going to keep, if you say no, I'll quit calling you. I'll put that in my notes, moving on. But until I get that no, I'm going to keep following up. I'm going to keep calling and all that because, I know they're open. And I know that it's just a matter of time before you can get that answer.
Yeah, Chad, you very much do take no for an answer. You're a professional. If they say no, that means no for that particular
Absolutely.
product.
And you never argue with them. Like, and we'll
Yeah.
get, so like, you never go back, well, oh, well, what about this? Or what if I do that? If it's a no, it's a no. And there could be a million different reasons why. Maybe they got a bunch of products on the line already. Maybe they don't have the tooling. Maybe they don't work in those materials. A no is a no, and that's the way it is. But there's always more companies.
Hey, Dana, when do you follow up? What's your strategy?
I I think I like to follow up a little bit more than 2 weeks. That's kind of a little too long for me, maybe every 7 days. But I also feel that this isn't a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday job. You would be surprised how many times I will get a response from somebody on a Sunday evening at 11 o'clock. So I started to reach out to people on Sundays
Hmm.
because a lot of, on Monday, Sunday night, they're looking at their phone or whatever, they're getting kind of mentally prepared for the next day. And so reaching out to them on a Sunday, maybe they'll see my email or they'll see my LinkedIn message. But that kind of accidentally happened where I got a response on a Sunday and I just thought, wow, maybe Sundays are a good day to reach out. So I started reaching out because I work on weekends too, so it's not a Monday through Friday 9 to 5 job.
And
And
I
I don't
found that if you send out on Sundays, a lot of times first thing Monday morning, you'll get a message back too.
and I don't it's not the way it used to be where Mondays are the best day or Wednesdays are the best day or Fridays. Although Chad said something about if you call and the person you need to speak to is at a trade show, I will find out when are they going to be back from the trade show. Oh, they're going to be back on Monday. Okay, I'm not calling them Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. I'm waiting until Friday or the following week because I'm not going to bother them. Just like when you go to a trade show and you say, hey, can I follow up with you? I'm going to wait until the trade show's over and then a week later follow up because they're worried about placing orders and doing everything else that they need to do.
Well, and the first thing that I'll do is if I hear that somebody's at a trade show, I jump right on LinkedIn and send them a message because at any time during that trade show, yeah, they're probably not going to catch it while they're during the trade show, but maybe they're sitting back at a hotel room or relaxing afterwards. They might catch it. So you know that you're probably not going to get a call back, but you can send that message out and let it marinate all week and see what comes of it.
Dana, do they treat you any different because you're a woman?
Well, that's a loaded question there, man.
Mhm.
I think I think from all the years I've been in the inventing business in the inventing world, meaning, I mean, I've always been an inventor, but in 2005, I got really more serious where I joined the Inventors Network of the Capital Area in Washington, D.C. And yeah, even other women who were in my group said that we get treated different. But I have a very strong personality and I know what I'm talking about. And so I think sometimes they do. I think that Chad's so good at getting in because he's a man. So not that that's going to deter me, but that thought has crossed my mind before.
So is there anything you can do to fight through that if you think that they're treating you differently?
Well, I'm not going to quit. That's for sure. No, yeah, I don't think there really is anything. I just have to keep on forging on. I mean, I get into my
Okay.
share of companies. I get big companies. I get huge companies. I mean, I even amaze myself sometimes. It's like, wow, that company's gigantic. That
Yeah,
get,
and Dana's right. She gets really excited when she gets into a big company.
I like the
Mike,
shark.
yeah, it's exciting. Michael has a question here, and I think it's not even about answering his question. It's about a mindset that you guys need to have. You need to listen to what Chad and Dana have to say because they're doing this every day, all day long. I find a lot of inventors do a very little bit of outreach or a little bit of anything, and they jump to giant conclusions. And Michael, I'm using you as an example. It's just all to learn, so it's perfectly fine. He wrote, most companies want to be the first to know about an idea, but only talking to one company is not great for the inventor. How do we address a company's concern of not being the first to see an idea as it is, sorry, I'm getting another call here, as it is best to talk with multiple companies at one time? The assumption you're making, Michael, is not true. Occasionally
I've never,
companies say that. The vast majority of times when you reach out, they don't bring that up.
no one
So
has ever asked me that ever.
yeah, exactly. So the point I'm trying to make here is when people start reaching out, like they leave 3 voicemails and go, "Oh, that doesn't work," or Michael's assuming that this is common. They have to be the first person that looked at it. That's very rare. It happens once in a while. Some companies care, most don't. It's a red flag if they do, actually. So the big thing I'm trying to relay here is listen to people that have done it and are doing it all day long, like Chad and Dana. Don't jump to conclusions with this tiny sample size of experience. It'll hurt you every time. And I don't know why so many inventors are, I'm going to use the word, a little arrogant, and they think they know what they're doing when they haven't really done it. They're not learning from people that have done it before, you
And that
know?
can be a big deterrent for a company as well with that mindset. I've talked to now, just as I've never heard that response, some of the responses that I have heard is people feel comfortable with us reaching out because they don't have to tell that inventor no. Some people come at them just sideways with some of the craziest demands and thinking that, I don't expect everybody to know everything when reaching out, and not knowing something shouldn't deter you from reaching out. But as you go, as you learn those little tips and tricks, you should incorporate that into your system because I mean, it's not an arrogance thing, but we do this every day. We know what we're talking about. So if you can change up your script or this or that area, by all means, you should be evolving as you're doing this.
Yeah, I want to talk about something here because we've noticed something. This new program called Gateway, we're reaching out on the behalf of somebody. That's a different relationship. That's not personal anymore. And those companies, I think they feel maybe they can be more honest.
Mhm.
Maybe it's easier for them to say no.
Yep.
So, what can you do as an inventor to make them feel at ease for them to say no? What can you write in that email to say, look, I'm a professional. I just want to get an answer. Anything could help me. What can think about from their perspective to make it easy for them to work with you?
Like Dana was saying, you made a joke about that if you were going to reach out for your next product, that you were going to act like it was coming from somebody else.
Yeah.
And that's not totally off base. I mean, detach yourself from that a little bit. I realize it's your product and it's your baby and all that, but the fact that you love it so much isn't going to change their opinion. You know what I mean? If you can kind of put yourself in that mindset that you're reaching out and this product has no connection to you, no emotional connection. Pretend as if you're reaching out on somebody else's behalf. And then where that really comes in is the response afterwards. That's where the professionalism comes in. Because if they didn't like it for this reason or that reason, maybe you don't agree with it, maybe you don't see it from that point of view, but you're not going to change that perspective of what they have. Thank them and move on. And maybe somewhere down the road, you've developed your product further to address some of those concerns and you can reach back out. That shows professionalism too.
Something that I
How
learned.
important
Oh, I'm sorry.
is it? Here's what's really interesting. But Chad, they don't really get it. I'm showing up, but maybe they don't understand this, or maybe I want to make an argument to really have them understand. I want to come back and explain it to them, or what? Why just say walk away from it? Because
If
they
they
don't
didn't
want
get it,
that.
then that was somewhere where you dropped the ball on the marketing materials, and you can't fix that now. After I mean, you could submit it and fix it later, but in this particular instance, you've either made the point to come across with the marketing materials or you haven't, and that might be different for a different person. Someone else might see the same marketing materials and see it, but unless they come back to you, now I'm not saying if they come back to you with questions, by all means answer their questions. If they have concerns, that's good. That means they're thinking about it, they're entertaining the idea. If they just come back with a no, it's a no. But if they have questions, like depends on the category. We're working on with a client that has a chemical, and for example, with chemicals, you need an SDS sheet. That's something that's required. That's required by them. In certain tools, they require OSHA specifications. And then if you have those things, if you show that you've done your homework, that's going to do nothing but help you.
You guys, here's another thing that you have to realize. Chad and Dana, when they're showing a company a product idea, the marketing material has been vetted. And so they know the market material communicates clearly. It answers all the questions they're going to have. And that company can look at it and get back to them very quickly. If you're not up to speed on the latest ways to really build your marketing material, you need to do some homework here because that could really shoot you in the foot.
Well, yeah, we
Because
have to
if you show a
remember that
company the wrong idea, or it's not the right fit, or they don't understand it, Dana, what happens when you do that?
well, more than likely, they're just going to be like, ah, newbie. I'm not even gonna. What doesn't happen with our gateway clients because their sell sheets are awesome, but with newer, with the inventor that doesn't have a good sell sheet, the sell sheet is the very first thing the company is going to see of your product. It can't just be okay. It needs to be beautiful because if it's just okay, I've heard this from companies that they love innovation. Companies want innovation. They need innovation. They have to keep their customers happy, the consumer happy. But if you send over a really bad sales sheet or your wording in your email is like rambling on and on and on, they're going to spot a newcomer from a million miles away. And they don't want to teach inventors how this whole process works. That's why I think Chad and I have such a great success because we know exactly what to say when we're pitching an idea that they
Yeah.
know.
They're still different though. They're still different. And that's a point that I want to make. And that's something that I've been thinking about quite a bit lately is because InventRight kind of, there's a very specific process that InventRight, teaches on how to do that. And like there's some things that I do that are completely different than the way Dana does it. And we're ultimately we're trying to get to the same goal, the same end result. But I mean, we have different strategies and different mindsets. And the thing is that they both work. You know what I mean? So there's not really, I mean, I think the only wrong way to do it is by not doing it, not reaching out, but like, for example, something, and I feel even a little at odds with this, the way, even talking about it, because everyone drones in so much about, selling that one sentence benefit statement when you're reaching out. That's not so much my tactic. And like, take this all with a grain of salt, but I have a little bit of a different approach about it. I like to let the company know that I've researched their company and I know the category that they're in. I'm not reaching out, to some arbitrary company, but I try not to explain the product too much. I really try to withhold some of that on purpose. And I think the reason that I do that is like, so I'm telling you, I have this thing, I've looked into it for you. I know that it's probably going to be a good fit. You're going to like it. You don't know what it is. It's a little mysterious. That's a present. That's a
You're
Christmas
teasing,
present.
you're teasing
You're
them?
taking that human curiosity of, oh, well, you have something for me. Well, I don't know exactly what it is. You're going to send it to me right now, and I get to look at it and tell you whether or not I like it. That's a present.
Okay.
That's what that is. Like,
All right. We're coming up on the hour. Dana, you said you had something you wanted to share with everybody.
Okay.
You're teasing us, just like Chad's teasing those companies.
I have never done this before. It was a big company I wanted to get into, and just can't seem to get into this company. Well, the CEO of the company had a post on LinkedIn, and it was a sad post. His friend had died from brain cancer, so it wasn't a fun post. So, and then there was a link to go to the Cancer Foundation website and make a donation. And I thought, well, I'll check it out. It's got to be legitimate. It's probably so. I went and checked it out, and for a good cause. And I'm not saying anybody should do this or not do this, but this was I gave the cancer research a $25 donation. And so I went back into his post and I said, thank you so much for sharing this. Cancer sucks. And I asked ChatGPT of how can I say that I gave a $25 donation without bragging, right? Because I wanted, but it wasn't like to get his attention. It was just to like, thank you for bringing that to my attention, And so I put this beautiful ChatGPT post that wrote it. I tweaked it a little bit. And a couple minutes later, he responded to my post and said, thank you so much. More people should be like you. Now, who got his attention? I did. It's not like I'm going to do that all the time, but that was a pretty big deal. Now, I'm not going to do anything about that. That was last week. I'm not going to do anything about it. And maybe in a couple of weeks from now, I'm going to just touch them, just do a little touch, just do a little reach out because this is a big, big company. And
yeah, if somehow you can get on their radar by asking good questions or doing something, you're really kind of warming them up. So when you do reach out to them, they know who you are. You guys, before we end this, um, a couple things. I just want to tell everybody that you can do this.
Mhm.
You can. And you're going to get frustrated at times. And if you are, we know you're moving forward. That's a
Mhm.
good thing. If you're
Mhm.
not getting frustrated, you're probably not moving forward. Um, keep on building a network, keep on linking up with people that you want to get to know. If you haven't linked up to us on LinkedIn, please do. Reach up to Dana, Chad, all of us, connect with each other, learn from each other. It's very, very important. And build your own community because it's all about building community. And it's always about keep educating yourself. Don't ever stop. And the other last thing I want to say before I hand it over to Andrew, we have the most remarkable video on our YouTube channel, InventRight TV. That video has got more views quicker than any other video we've ever done. And that video is about how to stop the knockoffs on Amazon. So if you really want to hear someone come up with a simple idea of how he used a very simple tool, a very affordable tool, to how we stop the knockoffs, please watch that video. And we have the gentleman here that helped him with that tool. Kevin Prince, raise your hand because I see it there somewhere. There he is right there. You guys, you hear all along that you can't stop the knockoffs. Well, sometimes you can. And that's why I want you to listen to the story because it's such a beautiful story. So, Kevin, thank you for coming. You're a hero in our industry. Kevin Prince, quick patent. So, thank you, Kevin. Andrew,
We're
it's all yours.
Yeah, we're going to do a group picture here, but before we do, I just want to say something, share some of my personal experience. I talk to people interested in our coaching program and InventRight every day, and they show me their marketing materials every day. These are people without any training. And I used to say 95. It's getting a little better for some reason. I don't know why, but 90% of the people that I talk to where they show me their marketing materials, the marketing materials are not good enough. 90%. So, Chad and Dana shared with you today how you can reach out. But if you learn to become fearless like them and reach out, it'll do you no good if your marketing is not good. It'll do you no good if you didn't do your market research and your marketing doesn't reflect properly what else is in the marketplace. So please don't just be fearless with reaching out. Also, make sure your marketing material is good. Make sure you did your research. Make sure it's making sense to a marketing manager or a CEO that's looking at it and barely trying to understand it. You understand it. You've been thinking about it for months or years. They're not going to try that hard. It needs to be understandable in 6 to 10 seconds. So I wanted to leave you with that. And follow their advice. And don't come to these dramatic conclusions after only having called two companies or something. Oh, they always say this. Well, how many companies do you call? 500? No, I called three. And they always say this. It's like, what? What? Don't jump to conclusions, guys. Learn from people that have done this before. So, if everybody could give a thumbs up or a wave and a smile, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do a screenshot here. There we go. Okay, that was first page. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. I got to do the second page here. All right, here we go. Here we go. All right, and the third page has just a few people on video. All right, there we go. The rest of you aren't on video. God, we had 170 people at one point here. That was pretty cool. Um, Stephen and I, we've been empowering inventors for 25 years. We care about you guys. Not everybody does that is trying to help inventors. There's plenty of people in this business that are just trying to extract money from inventors. We truly care. These meetings are free. We do them once a month. We have a YouTube show that is totally free. You just Google InventRight TV. Steven's written thousands of articles on Forbes, Inc. and Entrepreneur. We have several books. We care about you guys. If you want to be part of our community, we want you to be part of our community. Okay? And we're very friendly and we want to take care of you. But you need to listen, you need to learn, and you need to take action. And today, with Chad and Dana, you see the action they're taking. You heard Dana talking about, I'm sure it was the same with Chad, how she was terrified of doing this stuff, and now she's not. That can be you. All right. Stephen, you have anything you want to say in closing?
No, I just want to welcome, I want to say thank you for attending. We are going to do a whole webinar on how to stop the bad guys because of that YouTube video. Because we realize that people really want to know all the tips and tricks. And there's so many that there's just not one. It's not just a patent. It could be a trademark. It could be the design patent. It could be building the community. It could be leveraging some other things that you're not even thinking about. But at the end of the day, when your product is out there and you're excited about it, you want to have some of the skills and think ahead to stop some of those guys that want to grab a piece of your apple pie because we want to stop those guys. So we're going to do a webinar just on how to protect your ideas. I think it's going to be in I think it's going to be
February.
next month.
Yeah, it'll
Yeah,
be in February. Yeah.
yeah, it'll be next month. So anyway, thank you for coming on, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It allows us to bring on some remarkable guests. And thank you, Chad. Thank you, Dana, and thank you, Andrew.
Thank
And
you,
we'll
everybody.
see you guys next month. All right.
Take care. Keep inventing. Good night, everybody. Good evening.